If the Pumpkins are inducted over the next couple of years, which incarnation of the Pumpkins would attend?
That's a really good question. I've been asked that a few times. I don't think you'd see an original lineup reunion moment because there's just too much animosity there. And I love my band now, and at the same time, I'm not going to sort of try to push some sort of like accept this versus against that, because obviously the old band would have a lot to do with why it would even happen. So that's a bridge I'd cross when I get there. But nobody wants to see me, get in a fist fight on stage.
Are things that difficult right now with previous members?
Well, the lawsuits don't help. You know what I mean? The lawsuits don't help. So.
And what was the decision to stick with the Pumpkins? You over the last couple of years to continue that name, to bring in new members.
Well, first thing was I just wanted to come back into the band. That's what I wanted to do. So that starts with I'm just going to do what I want to do. And then, of course, then you start to realize that, it's not this, and it should be this, and where's this person, da-da. Then I got mad because you're not going to tell me what to do. Then it became a thing. And then I got, okay, now you're picking a fight, and you're gonna lose that fight.
Right.
Because Oceania is exactly what comes out of that fight. To doubt what I can do, to doubt what I'm capable of if I have the right people around me, and Jeff and Nicole and Mike are the right people. And people should be really proud of them, because it's not easy to step in a situation like that. You know how many times we've had to come into a city, play a really good show, good attendance, and then on the back end the review says rent a band. Nicole is from Massachusetts, moved out here, worked as a waitress, struggled out here in LA for 10 years. Jeff, born and raised here, played in indie bands. These are real people. These are not like some guy who's like, he goes from the playing with Nicki Minaj and then over to Chris Cornell.
Session
and
guys.
like these guys you see in the coffee shops around here with full sleeve tattoos. These are real people. So to turn them into your version of a robot, I mean, so they got the wrong band.
Yeah.
I try to tell people the Pumpkins means more to people as an idea than even the music, because the Pumpkins are the wedge against the stupid left and the stupid right. Because it's not an indie thing and cooler than you and we're great, all that BS. And it's not this record sales are everything. Because the Pumpkins, people wouldn't. If all the Pumpkins were about were the hits, why do the Pumpkins matter to so many people in so many different ways? It's a personal relationship, and that's where you can't mess with the Pumpkins that way. So when you try to tell people you can't listen to them because so-and-so's not in the band, that's actually counter to why they listen to the Pumpkins. And it's not just me. It's what the Pumpkins represents and the generation we come from and the ideas we still uphold. So all the rest of that can go to hell as far as I'm concerned.
And I think it goes back to what you said about some of the Pumpkin songs have been in weddings and they're given to nieces on their birth for inspiration.
Thank you. That's a great honor.
I want to get to some of these fans' questions. If you didn't sleep, what would you do with your nights?
I don't sleep. I actually usually only sleep about 5 hours a night, naturally. So I don't sleep. I used to get. What do you say? Nothing good happens after 1 a.m. That was me. I was the demon after 1 a.m.
But what do you do to wind down? What do you? It's something that has nothing to do with music for Billy. What is it? I know you love wrestling and you're a sports guy.
I love sports. Yeah. I don't know. Like I was watching a lot of the NBA playoffs. That that's when I just get to turn my brain off and worry about LeBron James's problems and not mine.
What can we expect in terms of visual accompaniment with the new record, the new album, music videos? And second part of the question: would you ever make a Pink Floyd The Wall type movie or documentary type production for any of your work?
Well, that's funny you mention it because the guy we're working with, Sean Evans, for the Oceania tour, where we're going to play the whole album in sequence, has been working with Roger on The Wall staging, which was here at the Staples Center and just played at Wrigley Field in Chicago. So we're going to have sort of, in essence, a movie type of visual thing that's going to go along with the whole album as we play it live. And we're actually in the testing phase, and we're doing something that's technically never been done for staging, with involving sort of 3D mapping and all that kind of stuff that's now available because of the computer technology. So really excited about that. So it will be very much an experiential tour where if you like the album and you like the way the album runs, you'll be able to kind of immerse yourself in that for that 1 hour.
So it's going to be album front to back?
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to kind of play classics around it and
Sure.
some interesting, songs from the catalog. So I think it'll be a nice balance. I was sort of inspired, actually, speaking of Pink Floyd, I saw David Gilmour at the Gibson about 2006 on his solo tour, and he did this really cool thing where he played a few old songs from Dark Side of the Moon. Then he played his whole new record, and then after that he played a bunch of other David Gilmour classics, and it was like this perfect balance of like new and old. You got everything you were looking for if you're like a longtime fan. At the same time, you got drawn into this new experience. I was really inspired by that.
Yeah, and I think, the video, your history, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, the history of
If
you...
only I had that money to spend now.
The
those
history that you
videos.
guys have of videos is remarkable, what you guys have accomplished on screen.
And the funny thing about a lot of those videos is every time we'd go to make a video, they'd say, "Don't make that video." Probably the top 5 most famous Pumpkins videos, somebody was arguing on the other side saying, "Don't make that video. How come you're not going to sing more? How come you're not going to blah? Why do you have to be in an ice cream truck? Like, really? Like..." And we'd say, and I'd say, "No, this is what we have to do," and it made sense to us, and so we'd fight for it, and then it would work, and then the next video they'd start the same argument all over again.
Yeah.
Except this time I got to be like a vampire to dress. You know what I mean?
Speaking of
And
touring...
by the way, I was a vampire back in the '90s before it was popular.
Oh, you were
right?
a
I'm gonna
trendsetter.
give myself a little credit here. Thank you.
Yeah. The OG vampire right here.
That's right.
Now, because the proper Smash Pumpkins tour isn't going to happen until a little later on this year.
Fall, yeah.
Which I think is brilliant, because I think there's too many bands that put out their new music long after the tour started. So you're giving people a chance to get to know the new music and come and see it and understand it and already have a relationship with the new tunes.
Yeah, we really saw over the last 5 years where, and we're all doing this. We listen to the album one time, we pick a couple songs, we put it in our shuffle, and then we don't actually get into the record. So we knew we had to make an album that people were going to get into so we could actually go play it live. So we put that pressure on ourselves, and so we're excited about that, because playing a whole body of new work and then surrounding it with some of the best of the past, I think is going to be it's going to make for a very exciting night and very unique. And consequently, in typical Pumpkin mentality, all those bands that are out there playing their old albums from 20 years ago because they can't get anybody through the door if they don't do it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be awesome. We're going to get people through the door with new music. And then as a bonus, then we'll have all that other stuff that we can play around into.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Another question here from the crew. Do you see any more solo albums in your future?
Yeah. As part of the reissue program we're on now, I'm hoping in a couple years to release the solo album,
The acoustic one, yeah.
that hasn't come out. Hopefully it'll come out in the time sequence. So right now we're about to do Melancholy and Airplane Flies High box sets. I do want to do more solo work, but right now I'm so happy with the band.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see people back into the band. And so we're just going to ride this wave for a while, because it's been a long time since I had this energy behind me.
We talked a couple years ago at the Sunset Strip Music Festival when you played on the Strip.
I remember, yeah.
By the way, coming up June 18th, Offspring, Bad Religion.
Oh,
You guys
that's a
get
good
your
bill.
tickets.
That's a good bill.
You, at the time, were in the process of putting together, I think it was going to be 11 EPs of 4 songs each.
Yep.
Now, did some of those, what became of those? It was Tear Garden.
What happened there?
Tear Garden for Kaleidoscope was the name of the project, right?
Yeah. Well, that's part of it, but I think the simpler part is we just wanted to try putting out one song at a time. And what we saw, because of the speed of the internet, the songs would just get swallowed within 24 hours and disappear like they'd never been out. And it was sort of weird, because we couldn't get any traction at radio. We couldn't get any fans to rally behind us. We put out the EPs, and it was kind of this like, it's not blank, fill in the blank. It's not, 4 songs on EP. It's not Siamese Dream. It's not this. It's not this. It's like nothing could be about today. And so we eventually got so frustrated, we thought either we need to get out of here or we need to do something. And we circled back to the idea that an album was the only way to sort of front load the fist on the thing and say, we could still do this. The great thing, and I'll say, is there's some longtime fans that, people have seen 50, 60, 80 shows. They were pulling me aside and say, I know you're onto something, long before Oceania.
Really?
They saw, even before we started playing the Oceania stuff live, they were like, we know you, and we know you're onto something. And it was like that kind of like, I know that you know, and I know you're, and I really, I credit those fans, because they weren't buying the hype. Because there's a weird thing that happens. I mean, we've all seen it. Sports is probably the best example. When somebody's sort of like on their last leg, or they're not going to win the champion, there's almost kind of a weird joy of like, oh, they're finally going down. You know, Corgan's going to get his, you know what I mean? And it's like, nope, Sorry, buddy. Wrong guy.
I think you're pretty hard to predict. I think you keep people guessing, which is cool.
Well, I used to do it for a living.
Yeah.
Now I'm just predictable.
Another question here. What is your favorite song to perform live at a concert?
I'd say right now one of my favorite songs to perform is Tonight Tonight because it's sort of become one of those songs that, I mean, when I play it, I'm almost surprised I wrote it. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like there's very few songs in every generation that rise to the other weird level where they're so in this other stratosphere. It's like it sort of defines like the generation, you know. And I'm like, wow, I actually wrote one of those songs because when we play it, the whole place just goes crazy. And you realize that something about that song still means something so many years later. It blows my mind, and it's such a nice moment every night.
What about a favorite particular riff?
Zero's a good one. We've been playing XYU off of Melancholy too. That's a good one. I don't know. Lots of good riffs.
Do you have a favorite, another question in here somewhere that I can't find right now. Do you have a favorite demo or B-side that you kind of wish would have, maybe gotten more traction or was...
There's a song that's going to be on the Melancholy box set or the Airplane Flies box set called Methuselah, and it's a song about my daddy, and it's weird because it's a really, really beautiful song. Sounds like it belongs on Melancholy. It doesn't sound like some other weird period. And yet I never played it for anybody in the band. I never played it for the producer, Flood, or Alan Mulder. I just made the song, and I just, put it in a box, It's weird because it's like, I don't know why I didn't. I think maybe it was too personal or something.
Yeah. Does that happen sometimes where even in the early writing creative process where you're like, I can't, this is like just bearing too much of my soul. I can't put this on tape.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've said and done where I go, oh, my God, why are you doing that, I don't do it for blood sport, you know what I mean?
Right.
Some stuff feels right, and some stuff's just like, that's too close to the bone.